Hello and welcome to Wingin It, and you join us again here for another Wingspan gameplay video. This is going to be a post-commentated game. It's a game from a tournament I played a few days ago, and I think it was pretty interesting, the few twists and turns throughout the game, so I thought it'd be an interesting one just for me to go back, watch through, and give a bit of insight as to what I was thinking while the game was ongoing. So, obviously we are going second here in this one, so let's jump in and let's see what we've got in our starting hand. And you'll see we've got some pretty interesting options here straight away. I'm jumping all over the housefinch and pleated woodpecker. Pretty good options in the forest. Downside, of course, is the tray. Going second here, we've got snow bunting, so that's kind of bad to let my opponent have that for two reasons. Obviously, the housefinch counter with the tucking, triggering the pink power, but it's also a cavity nest, so kind of not what you want to see when you go and pleated woodpecker. It's always nice to be the only one getting those eggs. I find that sometimes giving away those eggs, especially on these Oceania boards where it's so hard to get hold of eggs ordinarily, can definitely backfire a little bit. So interesting choice on the bonus cards. Well, behaviorist, sort of tempting here because I'm looking at this mannequin with the star nest, with that second cavity nest. Obviously you do want two. If you go with pleated woodpecker, you need somewhere to lay eggs onto. So normally not really the kind of bird you play early, but I think here, definitely something I'm looking at. And yeah, Benelli's eagle kind of goes without saying as a keep there. So there is potential for the behaviorist to try and get some points here. I think ordinarily if you are going for some kind of engine in the forest or in the wetlands or in the grasslands, where you're just filling one habitat with brown powers, give yourself that flexibility to put different coloured powers in the other habitats, you can potentially score points quite well off behaviorist. But I am looking more towards diet specialist, I think, especially when you go in forest engine, get loads of food, play big point birds. I mean, like Benelli, that kind of 3 food cost, big point value bird is exactly what you're looking for. So we do keep the diet specialist in the end, and just keep the food that we need for pleated woodpecker. So the plan here definitely is to get that down quickly. But as I say, we are going to have a little bit of thinking to do, because with this snow bunting in play, which my opponent, of course, does go and pick up straight away, that is going to give us a bit of a headache potentially. As I said, not just with the eggs, but with these tuck cards as well. So housefinch, I'll see how long I can sort of keep that hidden. I mean, there's a little bit of early game planning and thinking to do here, just in terms of when do I take food. Obviously there's nectar there, I want to be grabbing that. It's all going to depend a little bit what my opponent is going to get down early, if they do get a cavity nest or not, and we'll see they don't, but it is common grackle. So that kind of makes me think, actually maybe snow bunting was just a denial. I think it's definitely one of those birds where you want to have it as a counter to your opponent, but if you are going tucking yourself, which my opponent in this case clearly is trying to build out a nice wetlands with the grackle, then it's if you play that grackle turn one, I'm instantly taking snow bunting as well. So there's a little bit of mind games, there's a little bit of, as I say, defensive play potentially you got to think about with that kind of pink power. But yeah, the good news for me is that it wasn't going and getting snow bunting down straight away, which meant we go take food, we get the 2 nectar, and we can use that woodpecker. So even though we only get the 1 egg, my opponent doesn't get any. So I think that's worth taking there. And we're going to go ahead and get this mannequin down. So as I say, that's purely for the nest. The star nest early on here is going to help with that bit of egg space. We'll look to get the housefinch down. But again, there's a bit of mind games, a bit of thinking to do here in terms of if I get that housefinch down before I'm going to be able to use it too much, then that just gives my opponent a bit of time to, maybe get food, get the snow bunting down before I can really unlock the potential of that housefinch and start doing some tucking. So if I can sort of plan things out a little bit more, I mean, I'm probably going to need to draw cards. This is what I'm thinking at this point. I could play housefinch. What am I going to tuck? I don't really want to tuck Benelli. It's the kind of big point bird you want to be potentially saving for later. So yeah, definitely I'm going to want to draw cards at some point. But while there's a bit of nectar in the feeder, and more importantly, while my opponent doesn't have that cavity nest down still, I think it makes sense to take food here, get the full benefit, get those 2 eggs, and yeah, just let my opponent keep digging. And it certainly seems like they're looking for the wetland engine options. Not really got a food source. They go and grab a gnatcatcher from the trade, but that reveals Hornbill, which is a pretty interesting option here. Nice big point forest bird. Obviously hits the Dart Specialist, which is good. But also, it's an interesting option when you've got Polluted Woodpecker, because sometimes you can find that you run out of egg space on the cavity nest. I mean, we're already filling up pretty easily here. You'll see Polluted Woodpecker already getting close to capacity. So it's potentially an option later in the game to play that, clear out some egg space, and go from there. But having drawn our cards, having picked up a little bit of fodder, I mean, common Nighthawk, that's a pretty easy tuck here, pretty easy to cycle through with that. It's now time to go ahead and get our house finch down, and yeah, a little bit of thinking to do, maybe around this end of round goal as well. You know, we are qualified with the Woodpecker, but it's one that can swing very, very easily. I mean, even just playing something like that Nighthawk can make a difference here. But yeah, opponent with the Gnatcatcher, I can pretty much tell what's going to happen is food, and then they're going to play Snow Bunting. So that's my benchmark, the sort of 2 worms in the food cost. So that's sort of what we're maybe trying to compete with, maybe trying to match. And there's a few birds in the tray here that, you know, could be of interest. I mean, you see I'm looking at the end around goal there. I'm kind of thinking this Crimson Chat could be something, you know, cheap, maybe with that next end of round goal as well. So it could be an option for, yeah, just getting something down. If it's going to get some extra end of round goal points this round as well, then that certainly helps get a few extra points on the board. So we do grab that. We'll give ourselves that option. But equally, we could go and draw cards, and when something like Morning Dove comes up, it's another very, very nice forest option to go with. So yeah, we'll see. I'll have some thinking to do, some decision making to do, but I'm pretty certain indeed Snow Bunting does go down. So a little bit slower, a little bit later than I was expecting. I would have thought that would have gone down very, very quickly in this game, especially once Polluted Woodpecker was out. But yeah, it's now going to be getting the pink activations whenever we do some tucking. So got be a little bit more careful, be a little bit more mindful potentially with when we're using this house finch. So last turn of the round, and yeah, a bit of a decision here. Do I play the Crimson Chat, take the end of round goal points, or do I go and draw cards again, knowing that I'm going to need some more cards at some point, knowing that that Morning Dove is a very, very tantalizing option. So we do go draw cards. We can spend the Nectar, and we get another pretty nice pickup there, Magpie Luck. So we've already got the Mannequin to play another bird at the end of the game. Now potentially another option here in the Magpie Luck. So could be getting some big plays down at the end of the game. And when you've got options like Benelli and that Hornbill, both very, very tempting ones. So coming to round number 2, we're going first, of course, in this round. And yeah, that Nightingale is scary. That is not the kind of bird that I want to be seeing my opponent get hold of. So might have to do some denying here. Kind of thinking, do I maybe take food? Do I maybe take cards? We take food in the end. And yeah, block that Nightingale. That's a very, very powerful bird to get in the Wetlands engine when you've already got good card access and point scoring, as my opponent does. And it's a good counter to the Forest engine just to throw food around. So yeah, had to go a little bit defensive there and grab that Nightingale. But as I say, we've got the Morning Dove that I think we'll look to play. But otherwise, really kind of struggling for card draw. This is kind of the theme, at least for the early part of this game, is not having the Wetland bird. So that might be a little bit of an issue as this game goes on. Certainly not where my opponent is struggling. They had the nice Wetland start. So yeah, we might just have to keep digging. We might have to settle for what's in the tray and just work with that, because there are a couple of options there that, you know, might be ordinarily quite tempting when you're going Forest engine. I think the Whistling Duck is one that gets overlooked a lot, but when you've got Polluted Woodpecker, it can be a really, really good option with the high nest capacity. And of course, when you've got Hornbill as well, you can get so many extra points, discarding more eggs, getting more tucks with that when play power. So definitely something I'm going to look at. And yeah, we blocked the Nightingale, but we couldn't block Blue Throat, so that came off the top of the deck. So that has gone down for my opponent. And it's kind of interesting. potentially with the egg space that my opponent has here, you know, you've got the snow bunting to manage with the free eggs, but you've also got that grackle to manage. So leaving full eggs on the grackle, that sort of says to me, maybe we're going to see some discarding and maybe going to get more birds down in this round as the game goes on. But yeah, as I say, we've got this decision to make. What do we do with this wetland? So we've got this whistling duck. We have got this cormorant as well. And you see, I took food there, but I was kind of thinking to myself, it doesn't make sense to take food now. We're only getting 1 egg off the woodpecker. I want to make sure I'm getting 2. And an easy way to do that is maybe to play another bird. So maybe looking at this magpie luck, maybe for this end around could be useful. But equally, I could just go and draw cards, and actually, I could pick up the whistling duck and the cormorant, and maybe get some extra benefit there. So that was a nice pickup. Unfortunately, we revealed collared dove, so that would have been an amazing bird for me to grab hold of, especially if there's a bit of free food being thrown at me. So yeah, that would certainly be one I want to grab. My opponent is 100% going to block that. You can't let me have collared dove in this situation. So yeah, we've got to say goodbye to that, unfortunately. And yeah, there's the free food starting to come through here. But yeah, we've got these 2 wetland birds, and the reason I've gone for them both is obviously with the snow bunting, if you're triggering it once in a turn, you may as well do loads of tucking. So if I just went with the whistling duck, that means when I draw cards, I get 2 tucks, but I'm giving away 1 to my opponent, which is not great. Whereas if you go with the whistling duck and the cormorant, now I'm getting 4 tucks, but I'm still only giving away 1. And with this extra food as well, not just from my forest, but from the blue throat, potentially could have a little bit of extra food to be discarding in that wetlands. But for now, we'll get the magpie luck down. I say maybe something to think about with this in a round. I don't really want to have to lay eggs here if I can avoid it. But it might be a nice easy turn just to swing the end of round goal, get a few extra points there. And yeah, maybe we'll see if that's going to be something we want to do. But equally, you know, we've got a wetlands to build here. Diver has come up. You know, that's potentially another option that I'm sort of looking at and sort of thinking, you know, maybe I just get rid of these tucking birds. But I think the whistling duck here for me is the key. As I say, with the egg space with the woodpecker, it's a real problem not really finding cavity nesting birds. You know, this is where you love to have nuthatches, chickadees, you know, those kind of forest brown powers that are going to get a cache or a reliable point every turn and have the big egg space capacity with the cavity nest. That's what you're looking for when you go with Polite Woodpecker. And I say, not really finding those kind of birds, unfortunately, in this game. So we're going to have to get a little bit creative in terms of how we get our egg space from the other options that we're finding. So yeah, so diver is tempting, but I think if we're going with the whistling duck, we kind of have to go all in with the cormorant as well, and that's going to be my 2 wetland birds here. So yeah, already having problems here with the cavity nesting spaces. So let's try and address that where we can. But 2 turns left, so it's probably going to be playing a bird. At least 1, and then we'll see on that last turn. As I say, we could play 2 birds, really set ourselves up nicely with that wetlands, just to get some extra cards. Probably going to be throwing eggs, get more cards. I can always turn those cards obviously into tucks. I mean, we've got the Benelli for later as well, but we can always throw them, get a bit more food, and then maybe that food turns back into points. It's all about cycling these resources around, just to help ourselves see more cards, see more food, maybe get a bit more nectar, because this is really the kind of game where you could win all 3 nectar habitats and just get a huge point advantage, go with the forest engine. So I want to try and maximize that where I possibly can. But yeah, bit of a decision. Do I go with the whistling duck or the cormorant now? I'm sort of thinking maybe I go with the cormorant first, because I can obviously spend a bit of a wild food there, and then keep the fish. If I play the whistling duck, got to spend both my seeds. Wouldn't necessarily be able to draw cards if I needed to early in that round. Also got egg laying to think about. You see, did nearly go and commit with the egg laying, but I'm trying to keep that open. I'm trying to keep that flexible on that last turn. If I need to, if I want to, I could just play the cormorant as well. So yeah, we'll give ourselves that flexibility. And of course on the food, you know, maybe we'll get another blue throat food, and that is going to make my mind up, because at the moment only 2 cup nests down, so if I lay eggs I could win the end of round goal, get a few extra points. Very, very nice. That all changes though, because Moltoni is in the game, so yeah, really not the bird I wanted to see my opponent find. Super, super strong, and works really well with this setup. I mean, they've got great card access, great food access, already getting eggs off habitat and eggs off me. So really, really strong situation for that to come up for my opponent here. And again, it's a cup nest, so yeah, it's only going to be a tie. I did think here, is it worth laying eggs? Maybe. I think looking back, I probably shouldn't have laid eggs here. I think this is maybe getting a little bit distracted by the end of round goal. It's only getting extra 3 points instead of losing, going to tying, and 3 points for laying eggs as well. So 6-point turn. I think I should be looking for more points than that. And yeah, could definitely look to get down this Cormorant, get ready to draw cards early in the next round. But we did lay eggs. Obviously, my opponent kind of had to lay eggs anyway. I think they would have been fine, even, you know, just laying eggs and then playing another bird. I think they would have been able to win the end of round goal regardless. But yeah, I think next round is going to be really, really critical for both of us, really, because it's sort of half an engine on both sides. I mean, it's a really nice opening in the wetlands there with the Grackle, with the Blue Throat. Moltoni kind of brings another option, brings another dimension to the board. We're still really, really struggling with only half an engine. My opponent kind of fixes it on their side there because Mute Swan has come out. So yeah, definitely didn't like seeing that. Mute Swan at the end of round 2. And that is just such a strong wetlands being built. And yeah, to cap it all off, one of the best birds I could possibly have found in this game would have been Willy Wagtail. Really nice in the forest with the House Finch as well. Again, pretty sure that's going to be blocked. So a couple of nice birds are coming up that would have been really, really good for me. But they're just coming up at the wrong time. They're coming up when my opponent can go and draw cards. And yeah, as I say, maybe no great surprise that the Wagtail does get taken there. So we're going to have to work. I was going to say with the conventional wetlands, but I think this is anything but conventional, going with the Whistling Duck and the Cormorant as well. But yeah, for now we're just going to draw cards because we've got this Cormorant or the Whistling Duck down. That's going to help with a bit of egg space. And we're looking for seeds because we're not really getting any. And we need some seeds to discard, obviously, and get points with the Whistling Duck. So yeah, with that extra card that we have got, we can just take food, cycle that for a little bit, see what we can turn that into. Maybe something better. Maybe, who knows, we get another good forest bird. And we can just keep focusing on that for now. But yeah, I think it's all about trying to get some extra food so that when we do go and draw cards, we can really maximize, really get a lot of points, get those tucks, of course triggering the snow bunting, but try and maximize things for ourselves. Yeah, make sure we're filling up on this Whistling Duck because, you know, even at this stage of the game, we're basically round 3, we're sort of halfway through the game. I'm already thinking, right, what am I going to be playing with these 2 yellow powers, Mannequin and Magpie Lark? And it's looking pretty likely that it's going to be, I say, Benelli and Hornbill at the ends. And so I already have got to be thinking now, how can I make sure that I'm filling up on that Whistling Duck, making sure that when I play the Hornbill at the end of the game, I can really maximize and get myself as many tucks as possible there. So yeah, opponent's still drawing cards. It actually gave me a seed there, which is super helpful. So yeah, wasn't expecting that. I thought we're going to get every food except seeds coming through here, but that was very helpful. And yeah, kind of pushed me into, okay, now's the time to get the Cormorant down. Now's the time to go and draw cards because I know I can draw cards. Use both of those brown powers, get some tucks while I'm doing so. And then maybe go back, look at drawing cards, look at drawing a bit more food, and see where that's going to take us. So yeah, a couple of low point birds there going down for my opponent. Kinglet into Taui, so that surprised me a little bit. I think it's a little bit late to be going for those kind of low point birds, but when you've got Moltoni, when you're going to be taking food, you want to try and get some extra food wherever possible. So we're going to draw cards. We get some really nice ones. I mean, a couple of big point wetlands option from the deck, and we do take the Goshawk. That's just a bit of a denial. It's just a bit of a block. I think could potentially be an interesting one for my opponent. But yeah, nice big point wetland birds. No complaints. Still not really finding that last forest injured bird. I think there's still time. Maybe if I found a nuthatch, or it probably needs to be a slightly bigger point forest bird. But there are still some forest brown powers out there that would be worth playing. Obviously, bumping yourself up from 2 to 3 food generation would have been nice. So yeah, I was quite happy to block the Goshawk. Very annoyed to reveal Goldfinch. So again, just repeatedly, birds that would be really good for me, but that also kind of work for my opponent are coming up for them. So yeah, Goldfinch is going to get taken, and potentially double pink counters now to my tucking is very, very scary, because not only is that scary in the wetlands, of course, where we're getting 4 tucks, we would then be giving away 2, but it basically renders my house finch useless, because there's no way I'm taking 1 tuck and giving away 2 to my opponent. That's just completely not worth it. So yeah, we've got a little bit of a predicament potentially incoming here, especially with the Boltoni. They can get that done a little bit more quickly in end of this round, and then going into the last round we are going to have some very, very difficult decisions indeed. And yeah, for now we just got to keep trucking on. We've just got to keep cycling and just hope that we're finding good stuff with this house finch, because we've got some big point options. And yeah, as I say, we've already got 2 kind of earmarked for those yellow powers, the Benelli and the Hornbill, but I have actually got to play some other birds, so those 2 wetland birds are nice options. But I think we're going to need a few more just with the extra food that we're gaining. Again, the egg space is kind of critical. It's really running out, even with this whistling duck. It's very, very tricky to manage with the mannequin, with the woodpecker, but this mourning dove as well is filling up, so only 2 egg spaces there. You know, with the no goal as well, we've got an extra turn in that final round that we've got to think about. So still 8 turns left in this game. We can't just keep taking food. Obviously going to be a little bit of card drawing in there somewhere, potentially. But really, we've got to try and maximise the number of turns that we're playing bird scoring big points. That is certainly going to be the aim. But yeah, really kind of tricky position that this is coming into in this sort of late stage of the game here, where we're transitioning into the final round, because again, we're sort of having to settle for this engine we've got and staring down against the mute swan wetlands that's just so powerful, with the snowburnt encounter, with the Moltoni as well for playing more birds. I was feeling really not great at this stage of the game. So yeah, a lot is going to potentially come down to that final round tray. I mean, we are going first in that final round, so if a nice big point bird comes up, obviously we're dreaming for stuff like puffin, any kind of bonus play. That's what we're going to be after. But it's just all going to be dependent on what is going to come our way there. So yeah, 2 turns left in this round. Got a bunch of nectar, almost certainly going to have to play a bird. It's just about thinking which bird that is going to be. So night heron is nice. White-faced heron is also nice. We are leaning more towards that. I think, looking back, I probably should have been playing the night heron. I think this kind of settling for a 6-point wetland bird, I think I can maybe do a little bit better there. And I think part of me was thinking maybe I can get some benefit off that brown power in the final round. But realistically, I think I'm only going to draw cards once, maybe twice at a push, but I want to try and keep it to just once and spend the extra turns taking food, playing birds. So yeah, not ideal. I mean, it works obviously for the diet specialists as well. It's another wetland bird, and it helps me spend a bit more nectar, so that is kind of key, because you know, I said early in the game it can be quite easy to win all the nectars. We're not really doing that as of yet. I mean, we are winning them, but we're not, you know, winning convincingly. And I think when you're up against Moltoni, very, very easy to spend more nectar, get more birds down. And yeah, something to watch out for sure there. But last turn of the round, we are going to go and take food, and this is not the time that you want nectar to come up, but it did. So we're going to have to take it as a seed, but that's kind of okay, because I'm going to need a seed in that wetlands. I'm sort of planning, draw cards, first turn of the next round. And this is where I'm counting my cards as well, because I'm sort of thinking here, can I afford to start throwing cards and get a bit more food? You know, if I'm drawing cards in that last round, I could always maybe throw an egg, get the extra card. I've got to think about Benelli, having the extra cards to be tucking there. So you see, do discard the card, potentially be getting the extra seed here, the extra fish. Maybe gives me a bit of flexibility in terms of drawing extra cards in that last round if we want to. Because again, we're still not really finding great stuff with the card cycling with this house finch, so kind of struggling a little bit there to try and find the good options. So we've still got this night heron that, I'd say, pretty sure that's going to go down in the final round, but kind of need, I think, 1, maybe 2 more plays, because with that extra turn, as I say, I don't think if we're going to draw cards once and we're going to play a bird once, I don't think we have enough egg space or enough need for food to be taking food 4 times. So ideally, I say we try and get another bird or two in there, and if we can find some bonus cards, that would be lovely. But onto the teals, and you'll see there, pretty nice teal play for my opponent. They went and got down the extra teal power, getting some more eggs in there in the forest. So yeah, definitely interesting with the low point bird still coming out, but strong teal activation there with the double play filling up the forest. So onto our turn here in this final round, and we do get a pretty decent trade here. Got to say, Great Egret is a nice option. Again, Dark Specialist is going to help out. And when you've already got a nice big point wetland bird to play into, that is definitely what I wanted to see. So yeah, nice find there. Blue Wing Warbler would also be nice. Maybe that might be something we can get our hands on and play that as well. But yeah, for now I'm kind of thinking just purely about getting that double play down. It's going to help a lot with the egg space as well, that double play. So Dove is now full. Woodpecker and Mannequin are also full. With critical time here to clear out egg space. And then look at drawing cards. And of course, if we get that Night Heron down, potentially we can use that as a way of maybe get a little bit of nectar if we need it. Maybe get the fish or the seeds that we need. You know, if we're turning an egg into a food and then that food into 2 tucks. We are getting still some extra points there. So that's a nice option to have. Unfortunately, yeah, the Warbler's gone. Not too surprising. I don't think my opponent picked that up. I think that's a nice option to go with Moltoni, of course. So yeah, onto our turn, and I think it is going to be double play time. So it is going to be a little bit of an overpay. You know, we've only got 2 fish in our supply. We need 3, but I think realistically it's worth spending the extra here. It's going to unlock so many more extra cards. You know, bumping ourselves up from 2 to 4 is massive. I say when we've got Benelli, we need those extra cards. So potentially saving myself a turn, not having to draw cards twice, only drawing cards once, that can be helpful. And if that's an extra turn taking food, it's going to pay for the extra food that we're spending here anyway. So yeah, Night Heron is going to go down, and we've just got to think a little bit about what we're spending here, because these berries, I'm sort of keeping those a little bit in reserve for this Hornbill. Now, of course, when you're using the yellow powers to play extra birds, like the Mannequin, like the Magpie Lark, you can't spend Nectar, because your Nectar's going to get discarded at the end of the final round. So if I'm going to play that Hornbill, it's going to have to be with berries. And yeah, berries, notoriously hard to get hold of, especially now on Oceania, because you just want to take Nectar whenever those dice faces come up. So maybe have a little bit of thinking to do there, just in terms of how we're going to be able to afford that. Maybe we might need to play it ordinarily this round and find another bird to play with the Mannequin. So we'll kind of wait and see on that. We are potentially going to get a reroll if we go and take food, but we're going to go take cards and see what we find. Excellent find there. Bell's very exactly the kind of bird I had in mind. Rest not so good, but sort of okay with that. That's just all going to get tucked under the House Finch or under Benelli at the end of the game. So yeah, this is a situation I was talking about where we can use the Night Heron to get a little bit more food, and we are going to grab the fish, which then goes straight on the cormorant, because unfortunately Night Heron, or the White-faced Heron I should say, just went and missed completely. So yeah, definitely not ideal for us there. But what it did allow us to do is just get that bit of egg space back, and now 3 turns left. I think everything for me is sort of falling into place here. It's sort of clicking in terms of what we need to do, because we've got the 2 birds to play with the yellow powers, got the Bellsbury to play as well in this round, get the bonus card. Those 2 final turns we can be taking food, because we do actually need that food to be playing the birds that we want. So White Stork goes down for my opponent. Pretty nice bird to be playing late in the game here. Obviously a brown power helps for the end of round goal, but might just help get the final bird that they're looking for to play in this game. But yeah, we can go ahead and take food, and we've got the egg space as well. That was kind of key with doing the double play, using the Night Heron. You know, we've got the 2 spaces on the Dove, we've got the 4 cavity spaces. That's what we need to go through, take food twice, and make sure we're not missing out on anything. So that's definitely nice for us. But given as well given that we've got everything that we need in this game, you know, we've got the Benelli, we've got the Hornbill, we've got the Vireo. I've got some thinking to do with this House Finch because, you know, what's the advantage to using this House Finch? If I'm getting a tuck and my opponent's getting a tuck, it's not really too much for me to gain there. We're sort of both netting off against each other. And actually, this could be a situation where my opponent, you know, with the extra tuck that they might get, might be able to turn one of the less good cards in their hand into something slightly better. So, yeah, when we do come round to this House Finch, could be potentially worth skipping here and not using the power. And indeed, we do go ahead and skip. So, still a nice turn. Still get the eggs off the dove, off the woodpecker. But only 2 points net. And that is a concern for me. That is not great at the end of the game to be only scoring 2 points. I mean, I look at my opponent, again with that wetland super strong. And we know they're building up to Meltoni play as well. So, yeah, it's a tricky position. I think this is where the game sort of feels like for the last round or so. It's kind of been swinging back to my opponent. I think we started off really well. Once the Mute Sword went down, using the Meltoni, it's kind of been swinging back towards my opponent, and I could feel this kind of pressure of them catching up with these big point plays like this, playing the Stork. We know they've got the Blue-winged Warbler as well in the hand. Still got that Goldfinch, which, got to say, a little bit surprised that hadn't gone out at the end of the third round. I think House Thread into White Throat, I think they were kind of going for the extra eggs and trying to make some benefit off the teal power there. But yeah, I think the Goldfinch definitely would have made my life a lot harder to be managing this final round, but might still be something that we see come out as potentially a big point bird here. But yeah, I think, I say, only scoring 2 points in the forest, sort of allowing my opponent back into the game here. But we are still on a good score. You see, 90 points. I think it's pretty good at this stage of the game, and we know we got some big plays with the Magpie, like with the Mannequin. We've still got another bonus cut to come as well with the Belsery. So we'll cross our fingers and hopefully get something good off that. On to our next turn here, and you'll see we're maybe getting a little bit of a helping hand here because we're getting some nectar given to us through this blue throat. So yeah, opponent drawing cards, scoring loads of points with the Mute Swarm, with the Grackle. Definitely scary. But yeah, 2 turns left for them. Kind of know they got a legs at some point. Probably going to play another bird, maybe. We're going to see that Warbler come out. We know they've got that to go in the grasslands. But yeah, that nectar does give me a little bit of thinking to do, because obviously the Spells Vireo want to be playing that. Still kind of struggling, not finding the berries for the Hornbill. So I'm sort of at this stage thinking, maybe do I switch plan? Maybe do I play the Hornbill in this round and then play the Bells Vireo with the yellow power? And just make sure I'm using it like nectar. But there's a few things to think about here. A few kind of little wrinkles in the order in which I play some of these birds. So obviously the Hornbill, big point play. It is going to trigger the Snow Bunting if I use it. It is tucking a card. It's the same with the Benelli as well, actually. Both of those birds, they do get tuck cards and they will trigger the Snow Bunting. So that's why I want to play them at the game end. You don't trigger pink powers at the game end. Whereas obviously if I play them now, it would trigger. So a little bit of a thinking to do there. I decided I had that bit of flexibility with the extra food that came through. I could go and take food and just see if the berry comes up. Luckily it did. Then we're fine. But if it didn't, I could always switch things up and obviously need to take food, get the extra egg on the whistling duck so I can really maximise the Hornbill when we do go ahead and play that. So that was good. Also got nectar to think about now. Forest nectar, we're fine. My opponent's filled up in their forest. We're good there. Grasslands is very tight. We've already spent 1. My opponent's not spent any, but they do have 1 in supply. And I'm so pretty sure we're going to see some birds go down there. We know they've got that Warbler. Potentially found something else to play there and spend another nectar. So spending our 2 nectar in the grasslands. Indeed, there we go, Golden Eagle, so that's where the nectar's gone. And the 2 worms left over will be for the Warbler. But yeah, now playing Belsery in the grasslands, that now swings the nectar back towards us for a few extra points. So that worked out nicely. Bellsville indeed. Is going to go down here, and we're taking a gamble on this bonus card. We're going to see what is going to come through for us. And it's a 7-point platform builder. So very, very nice. Exactly what you want. Late in the game here, we played plenty of those nest types. We've even got one more to come with the Benelli, just for good measure. But yeah, excellent find. Really, really nice pickup. And good bonus cards. That's what you kind of need in these games where it feels kind of tight. Feels like it could go either way here. Swinging back and forth, I think, through the nectars, through the big point birds going down. Hopefully we can swing it back our way one final time here when we come through to the yellow powers. But yeah, it's been a strong finish, I think, here for my opponent with the big point birds coming down. And as I say, we know one more still to come with the blue winged warbler. This is going to go down with the Maltoni. And then, yeah, using that white threat again. I mean, I think they got 5 eggs in the forest in round 3. It's going to be 5 eggs again here in round 4. So big plays, big scores with the teal powers. There we go, warbler going down. And I say, kind of swingy things back towards my opponent here. Finishing the game with no cards, no food. Very, very nice. And tie on the end of round goal. So very, very close throughout the game on all those end of round goals. But this is where we hope that we can swing things back towards us. So, as I say, we've got this Hornbill, we've got this Benelli. We are going to play Benelli, or are we? We're going to choose to change the order. I don't know why I did this. This makes no difference, but I think we're going to play the Hornbill first. I think I just want to make sure that I spend the eggs off the right places. So we've got plenty to work with. Including 5 on that whistling duck, so 10 tucks on the Hornbill. Very, very nice. And then, yeah, we get the Magpie Lark. Benelli's going down. Another big point play. And as I say, we get tucks on both of those, and we don't trigger the snow bunting at all. Not that my opponent has any cards to tuck anyway. But into the nectars, we win 2. In the forest and the grasslands, we lose the wetlands. It was close. I feel like maybe I could have done more there. Hopefully that's not going to come back to bite me as we come into the final scores. So I think these are going to be big scores on both sides. These are going to be very, very close scores, but maybe scoring in slightly different categories. So we are slightly ahead on the birds. We know our bonus cards were strong as well. 13, very nice. End of round goals is going to bring it back a little bit for my opponent. But eggs, we both had plenty. So it is very, very tight. Tuck cards as well. There are a lot flying around there with the snow bunting as well. Keeping things very, very close. And through the nectar, it's very close as well. But we do hold on. We do win what is a very, very high scoring game. 131 to 125. So, yeah, only 6 points in it. That is the kind of game where a nectar swing or a dud bonus card or just not paying attention, not using your turns efficiently at the end, that can really cost you. But 6 points, yeah, we do just about hold on there. So, very nice bonus card. Going above and beyond on the bird bander there. 9 birds for the 7 points. Very nice. And yeah, just a really solid board all round. I think on both sides. As I say, nice bonus cards for us. But it's all about those yellow powers, I think. Playing that Hornbill, playing that Benelli. That definitely swung things back towards us and got us over the line in the end in what I think was a very, very entertaining game. So hopefully you enjoyed watching that one. And if you want to see more, do hit the subscribe button. Make sure you follow the channel. And hopefully I'll see you in another game very, very soon.